Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Cards on the Table. We're going to open up 4 packs of baseball cards here today. We're going to open up 2 packs of 1990 Upper Deck, and we're going to be hunting for, and I don't know if these have all been found or not, but they have something called Find the Reggie. Apparently there's 2,500 limited edition Reggie Jackson signed baseball cards inside these 1990 Upper Deck baseball card packs here. So we're going to see if we can find a Reggie Jackson and maybe some other Phillies from 1990. And then we're going to open up a couple of packs from the 1991 Second Series Stadium Club packs. This is about the time Topps realized we got to start stepping up our game because companies like Upper Deck were starting to make their cards all glossy and pretty and all that, and no more gum stains on the back of baseball cards, which is kind of a bummer because that's one of the cool things about baseball cards as I look back on it. Now the gum stains, the gum in the packs of the old packs of Topps baseball cards. So we don't have that anymore. So before we, let's just jump right in. Let's get right to it, and we'll start off opening the Upper Deck pack. So we'll start off with the 1990 Upper Deck pack, and it's kind of interesting. In 1990, this was the year Lenny Dykstra and John Kruk and all those guys came to the Phillies, and they were a couple years away from competing for anything. They were bad for another couple of years, but it didn't take long. 1993, obviously. So here we start off with Mookie Wilson, who I never realized played for the Blue Jays. Obviously part of that New York Mets team in 1986, hit the ground ball that went through Bill Buckner's legs. Mookie Wilson in a pretty sharp-looking Blue Jays uniform there. Let's see, we've got former Philly great Kevin Gross here with the Montreal Expos. So he left the Phillies here in 1988 was his last year with the Phillies. He went 12-14 with a 3.69 ERA, made 33 starts, 232 innings pitched that year for the Phillies. I mean, he was a workhorse. People forget about how good Kevin Gross was at times. He was a really infuriating pitcher to watch because he had all the talent. He had a pretty good fastball. He had a great breaking ball and stuff, but he did not know where the ball was going to go most of the time. But he threw a no-hitter for the Dodgers later in his career. But I had forgotten that he made a stop in Montreal before he went over to play for Los Angeles, where he would eventually throw a no-hitter. And he always had a weird kind of funky delivery. And this is one of the things that made Upper Deck cards so special, is that they had pictures on both the front and the back. No other card company had that. Now, you lose something when you do that, because I'll turn it right side up so you can see it. Kevin Gross had a much longer career than this. But he only had about 5 years worth of totals because they couldn't fit in all the statistics because they had the cards there, which I thought was kind of a bummer. So in one respect, I always thought it was cool too that they have like the little icon thing there up at the top, but I never liked the fact you couldn't see all of their statistics because I was a nerd. I used to write down a lot of the statistics of famous players. I wasted a lot of time as a kid indoors with my baseball cards, filling notebooks with nonsense that would get thrown away. National League MVP in 1988, Kirk Gibson, when he was still with the Dodgers, had a pretty awful year here with LA, hit .213 in 71 games, so clearly the shine was coming off of Kirk Gibson's career at that point. Here you have Chicago Cubs hurler Mike Bielecki. Charlie Leibrandt, who was a pretty good pitcher for the Kansas City Royals for a number of years. Decent left-hander. In 1985, in their World Series winning season, he went 17-9 with a 2.69 ERA. Charlie Leibrandt, pretty good pitcher for them. Kenny Rogers, who was an all-star pitcher for a number of years. This was his rookie card, as a matter of fact, where he just pitched in, he was a bullpen guy mostly. 73 games for the Texas Rangers this season. Would go on to become a pretty good left-handed starter for Texas. Hensley Mullins was an interesting young player. He was a guy that a lot of people thought was going to be a superstar at one point. Never panned out, but one of those late 80s, early 90s guys like Matt Noakes and Ellis Burks. And actually, Ellis Burks had a decent career. Mike Greenwell, probably a better example of these young guys who everybody thought was going to be a whole lot better. Eric Shao of the San Diego Padres. The Padres are bringing back the brown uniforms, guys. This is awesome, because this is a great look. Now, it's not going to be exactly like this. It's a little bit more of a modernized look, but they're bringing back the Friar, and the Padres are bringing back the brown and yellow. This is a big development for people who appreciate baseball uniforms, and long overdue. San Diego, their color scheme was horrific. I mean, they had some shade of blue which you couldn't even identify. It's an awful, Awful uniform. Might have been the worst uniform in Major League Baseball. Here's a Royals sticker. Yay. I'll give that to one of my kids. They'll love it. The stickers actually don't stick anymore. I get Fleer packs every now and then, and none of the stickers stick to anything anymore. They've all lost their viscosity. Tony Fernandez, good young player for the Toronto Blue Jays for a number of years. Steve Sachs here with the Yankees and not with the Dodgers. He was a long-time Dodger second baseman. Went to the Yankees starting in 1989. Hit .315 for the Yankees in this season in 158 games. 205 hits for Steve Sachs in 1989 with the Yankees. He had a 200-hit season in '86 with the Dodgers when he hit .332 and had 210 hits that season. So Steve Sachs was a pretty good ball player. And I think at one time he married like one of the women who show all the prizes in The Price is Right. That was a big story back in the day that Steve Sachs was married to one of those women. Checklist. Great, thanks. Here you got another San Diego Padre pitcher, Craig Lefferts. Again, in the brown and the orange there, just a fantastic uniform. We got a nice Padres heavy deck here. Gaylord Perry. No, sorry, not Gaylord Perry. Gerald Perry of the Kansas City Royals. Very different player. Here's Gene Nelson of the Oakland A's and Tracy Jones of the Detroit Tigers. So an okay pack there. Let's open up pack number 2 of our 1990 Upper Deck here. We're Philly hunting, and we got a couple good former Phillies anyway. Got some good Kevin Gross stuff in there. All right, Minnesota Twins third baseman Gary Gaetti was a World Series hero. He would be a hero in 1991, the season after, but in 1987, the other year the Twins won, hit 36 doubles that season, 31 homers, 109 RBIs. Gary Gaetti was a pretty talented third baseman for the Minnesota Twins during their Super Bowl run. It's late. I'm recording this late, so that tells you all you need to know about where my head is at right now. Cleveland Indians outfielder Dave Clark. Here we have Gary Templeton, San Diego Padres shortstop. Again, another San Diego Padre in the brown. Here's Kurt Stillwell, Kansas City Royals. Here we go. Look at that. Mentioned him at the top. John Kruk looking pretty thin there. Krucker, if you're watching this, and I'm sure you're not, looking good here, man. Let's take a look at the reverse side. It's very similar. Might have just been the follow-through of the swing that was on the front of the card here. John Kruk could always hit, man. 86, 309, 87, 313. Only had 241 with the Padres in 1988, but with the Phillies and the Padres in 89, hit 300 in 112 games. Obviously, he would go on to much bigger and better things, but John Kruk coming over to the Phillies here in the 1989 season. Look at that face. He's a baby. Look at that baby face there. How old is he in this picture? He was born in 1961, so this is 1989. Means he's 28 years old. 28-year-old John Kruk right here, everybody. That's a nice card. Bill Wegman of the Brewers. No, I don't think he has any relation to the supermarket chain of today. Here is John Farrell of the Cleveland Indians, future Boston Red Sox manager. Here he is looking very managerial. But John Farrell won a World Series with the Boston Red Sox, so it's he's really happy about something here. He's having a good day. John Farrell is having a good day there. Jay Bell, I think we've talked about Jay Bell before. He was a sacrifice bunt machine for the Pittsburgh Pirates back in the early 1990s when the Pirates won 3 straight National League East titles. They used to have him sacrifice bunt early in games all the time to get quick 1-0 leads, and it worked back in those days. They would never do it nowadays. Bill Doran, second baseman for the Houston Astros. Here's another Astro. Gerald Young. Again, these were great uniforms by the Astros. This is before they started smashing trash cans to let people know what pitches were coming. Here's a great card that would have been worth a lot of money back in the day. Dave Justice rookie card here with the Atlanta Braves. Dave Justice would go on to have a borderline Hall of Fame career. Not quite a Hall of Fame career, but Dave Justice was a really good hitter for the Atlanta Braves during the first part of their 15 years where they won the NL East 15 years in a row from 95 until whenever it ended. I guess maybe it was the Mets, I think, ended it in 2007. Yeah, in 2006. I don't remember. Anyway, it was a long time, and he was a major part of it. Also married to Holly Berry. famously enough, and they had a contentious divorce, if I remember correctly. David Segui of the Baltimore Orioles. Here you have Rick Aguilera, who's a really good pitcher for the Mets, and then later on here for the Minnesota Twins. Here's another great one. This is a rookie card. John Olerud, who tortured the Phillies in the 1993 World Series. This guy could flat out rake. Interesting story about John Olerud. He had a brain aneurysm. Yeah, it says here, let's see. Blue Jays drafted the unsignable John in the 3rd round of the '89 draft and offered him a deal he couldn't refuse, similar to a #1 draft pick. Ben McDonald's $825,000. John went straight from college to the majors and singled in his first major league at bat in 1989 off the Twins' German Gonzalez. Okay, here it says he suffered a seizure in January of '89 due to an aneurysm on his brain and underwent delicate surgery in February of '89 and came out in good shape. He was drafted by the Blue Jays later that year and was in the majors 6 months after having surgery to repair a brain aneurysm. That's why even when he was in the field, he always used to wear a hard helmet. He never wore a soft cap. He's wearing one here for this picture, but you would never see him on the field in a soft cap. Always wore a hard helmet because of the surgery for brain aneurysm. Just an incredible story. And then Ken Oberkfell of the San Francisco Giants, infielder, played in the majors for a number of years. So decent set of cards there from our Upper Deck packs. Let's open up our Top Stadium Club packs. We'll open pack 1 of 2 here. And again, this is, I never really liked Stadium Club all that much. I always preferred just the classic Tops. But Tops had to compete with these Upper Deck cards, with the way that they were putting these cards out. Much sleeker, with photos on the front and back. Glossy. That was where everybody's going Fleer Ultra. Fleer did theirs with their Fleer Ultras at some point, and Donruss started making all of their cards like that. It's just the way all cards started being made. Sorry, kind of banged into the desk there. So let's see what we've got here. Brady Anderson is our first card here. And these, again, are 1991 cards, so this was taken from 1990. Brady Anderson, who at one point hit more than 50 home runs in a season, in 89 games in 1990 hit 3 home runs for the Baltimore Orioles. Tell me this guy wasn't on the juice. Just try and sell me on the fact that he wasn't on the juice, because I'm not buying. Not for one hot second. I don't think anybody else is either. Here's another Charlie Lee Brandt, this time with the Atlanta Braves after he'd left the Kansas City Royals. These are all going to be taken from spring training, which is why I didn't like these Top Stadium Club cards. They're all from spring training. Here's Jeff Parrott, and I just don't love the design. It's a nice picture, but there's no color. Just the photo of just the color in the photo, but there's no color. There's no team design. There's no team logo here. On the back, they show you the rookie card of each one of these teams' Topps rookie card. Each one of these players' Topps rookie card. Jeff Parrott, who cares? Vince Coleman, after he left the Cardinals to go play for the New York Mets. I think this was the same year he threw the firecracker. Here's Vince Coleman's rookie card, his 1985 Topps. That'd be a cool card to get. I'm desperate to get a bunch of packs of 85 Topps, but they're really hard to come by. It kills me. I used to have that set, and I no longer have it anymore. Scott Terry, no, never heard of him. St. Louis Cardinals. Here's George Bell. Was a pretty good power hitter for a number of years. Hit 21 home runs in 1990 for the Toronto Blue Jays, but never really a superstar. Here's Gerald Perry. The St. Louis Cardinals, used to play for the Braves for a number of years. Greg Smith of the Dodgers. Again, not really familiar with him. Bruce Hurst was a part of the 86 Red Sox team that lost to the Mets in the World Series. Decent left-handed starter. Kevin Wickander, sporting a very, very classic. This is I think he probably was an extra in Major League, in the movie Major League. Doesn't he look like one of the random ball players from Major League? I gotta believe he was in that movie. Here's Atlee Hammaker. We talked about him in the last episode of Cards on the Table. He had a couple really good years where he actually started an All-Star game. I think it was in 1983. Atlee Hammaker was a good pitcher for a couple of years. And then here's Phil Stevenson. Again, these are just boring. These are just boring. I'm not opening any more Stadium Clubs. I'm not getting any more Top Stadium Clubs. I think these were given to me by somebody, and I'm never one to turn away free unopened packs of baseball cards, but Top Stadium Clubs, they just did a terrible job, and you can't open these things. Look, they're like sealed with some kind of industrial strength lubricant. You need scissors to open up these baseball cards. That's not how it should be. I'm done yelling. All right, so here's Charlie Lee Brandt once again. Great. We're going to get duplicates, I think, in these couple of packs here, aren't we? Yeah, here's another Brady Anderson. I'll bet you this is going to be a lot of duplicates from the same one. Here's Mark Salas of the Detroit Tigers. We've got, who do we have here? Ramon Martinez was a good pitcher for a couple of years here for the Los Angeles Dodgers, but never turned into the type of pitcher we thought he could be. Ron Gant would become a Philly later in his career and struggle once he came to the Phillies. The Phillies basically got him towards the end of about a 5-year run of productivity with the Atlanta Braves. He was very good. He was very good when he was with the Atlanta Braves, but when he came to the Phillies, he sucked. Chris James was one of my favorite late 1980s Phillies. Here's his 1987 Topps rookie card. He's the answer to an interesting trivia question. The day after Mike Schmidt retired from the majors, who played third base for the Phillies? In the game after Mike Schmidt retired, Chris James. Chris James manned third base. A lot of people want to say Rick Shue, but it was Chris James who played third base, was in the starting lineup at third base the day after Mike Schmidt abruptly retired in 1989. Steve Howe was a guy who who's suspended multiple times from Major League Baseball because of drug and alcohol problems. Luis Aquino of the Kansas City Royals. Here you've got Carl Nichols about to kill his first baseman, trying to catch a foul pop. Wonder how that play worked out. Darryl Strawberry with the Dodgers. That never looked right to me. I've always wanted Darryl's 83 Topps rookie card. Isn't that a beautiful card? Darryl Strawberry with the Dodgers. That just never worked out. His career and the drinking and all the other stuff just went down the toilet. That's a Hall of Fame talent right there. Darryl Strawberry was a Hall of Fame talent. And the drinking and the drugs, like Dwight Gooden, just submarine the whole thing. All right, here's a good one. Washington Nationals World Series winner as a manager, Dave Martinez, back in his playing days for the Montreal Expos. Here's a great old school Philly. This is worth it. This makes these 2 packs worth it. Darrell Akerfelds. Let's see, what did he do for the Phillies in 1990? 71 games, a 5-2 record, a 3.77 ERA. All right, Darrell Akerfelds. We can live with that. I wish the Phillies would bring back the Maroons full time, but this is a pretty sweet card. Darrell Akerfelds, we'll have to set him aside because I don't remember much about Darrell Akerfelds, to be perfectly honest with you. And Bill Landrum wraps up this episode of Cards on the Table. So again, a decent haul there. We got Darrell Akerfelds from the Stadium Clubs, and we got some decent cards from the Upper Deck packs. We'll do a couple more Topps packs in a couple of weeks, and hopefully I'm going to get some new material in here in the next few weeks as well. I'd like to open some stuff I haven't opened before, maybe some stuff from earlier in the 1980s. Again, if there's anything you want, if you want me to open up some newer packs from like the 2000s, let me know. I don't know what's good from the 2000s. I had stopped collecting, a long time ago. So I remember all the cards that I've been opening, but if there's anything you'd like to see me open and we can talk about some newer players maybe, let me know in the comments section of this video. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll talk to you next time here on Cards on the Table.